Hi friends, welcome to Top Inner Academy. So we are dealing with the last class of ancient India. This is later Guptas. Okay, let us move. So first is Pushyabudhis. Pushyabudhi dynasty. See, what are the sources of study about Harshavardhana? The important thing is Harshavardhana, and what are the sources of study about Harshavardhana's reign? Then Harshacharita, written by Bana, his court poet. First was this Harshacharita. Then travel accounts left by Huan San, the Chinese traveler. That's another one. Then other important sources. Then dramas written by Harsha. Then that means Ratnavali. Then Nagananda, Priyadarshika. These are the dramas written by Harsha himself. Then Sonpat inscriptions. Okay. Then Bhanskara inscriptions has Harsha's signature. Okay, so these are the important sources of study of Harsha's reign. Okay, Sonpat inscription, this is very important. Then Panchera inscription, then Harsha's signature units, then Madhuban plate inscriptions. That also there. Then what is Pushyabudhi dynasty? So something about Pushyabudhi dynasty. See, it is founded by Pushyabudhi. Okay, Pushyabudhi is a founder of the dynasty, and they were the feudatories of Gupta. Again, they say that they were the feudatories of the Gupta, and they are known as Vardhanas or Vardhans, right? So feudatories of Gupta, they were known as Vardhans, and they became independent after Hun invasion. Okay, they became independent after Hun invasion. Their important then capital was Daneshwar. Okay, so important king he was Prabhagara Vardhan. Okay, important king was Prabhagara Vardhan. Then after his death, his elder son Rajyavardhan assumed the throne, and he was killed by Shashanga, the ruler of Bengal. Okay, after Prabhagara Vardhan's death, his son Rajyavardhan assumed the throne, and he was treacherously killed by Shashanga, the ruler of Bengal. Thereafter, the next ruler is Harshavardhan. Okay, his brother, Shashanka's brother, Harshavardhan, succeeded him. Then Harshavardhana's empire, Harsha's empire. Okay, Harsha's empire, its extent, we can say, see, Harsha's ruled over a vast territory that consisting of eastern Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa. Okay, this area. Then Nepal had accepted his overlordship. Okay, Nepal already accepted his overlordship, and Harsha defeated the ruler of Kannauj and made Kannauj as his capital, new capital. Okay, so Harsha's new capital is Kannauj. So we show that Harsha's new capital is Kannauj, and the most important battle. It was the most important battle fought by Harshavardhana was against Chalukyan ruler Pulikeshin II. Okay, so he was a Chalukyan ruler, Pulikeshin II. So most important battle of Harshavardhana was Harsha versus Chalukyan ruler Pulikeshin II. See, it was with his ambition to extend his empire beyond Narmada. Okay, so Harshavardhana wanted to extend his territory beyond Narmada. So Aihole inscription of Puligation mentioned that Harsha was defeated. Okay, Puligation defeated Harshavardhana. Puligation defeated Harshavardhana. Then we will see about Harshavardhana's administration. So administration of Harshavardhana's reigns. See, Harshavardhana's administration almost similar to that of Gupta's. It was Humayun Shah has described much details about it. See, more feudal and centralized during Harsha reign as compared to that of Gupta's. Okay, it was more feudal in character and more centralized. So more decentralized in character, and land grant to the officers in lieu of salary. Okay, so in lieu of salary, it was not money, rather it was land was given. A particular land will be given, so he can extract money from that particular area for a particular officer. Okay, public records were maintained. So it was a very important thing. Thing was the maintenance of the public records was a characteristic feature of Harshavardhana's administration. Okay, see, then this archives, what is called Nilopittu. The archives were called Nilopittu and were handled by special officers. There were special officers to handle Nilopittu. The records of goods as well as bad events that occurred during the time of Harsha has been recorded. Right. So both good and bad events were recorded. Then taxation. 1/6 of the crop produced, that was the taxation. Then Harshavardhana's army consisted of 4 divisions: foot, chariot, horse, and elephant. This was the army. Okay, foot was there, chariot, horse, and elephant. Okay, so it is much more as compared to Mauryans. Then cruel punishments were also there as compared to Mauryan times, and also there were diplomatic relations with China. Okay, so that was Harsha's administration. Then we will see with Harsha's economy. Okay, economy. Actually, therefore, four-fold Varna system. That means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra existed there. So Brahmanas received land grants from the king. Kshatriya were the ruling class. Vaishyas were involved trading, and Shudras practiced agriculture. Right. So and also subcastes were also there. Right. Once more. Then Brahmanas land grants. They received land grants from the king. Then Kshatriyas, they were the ruling class. Then Vaishyas were involved in trading, and Shudras practiced agriculture, right? And also subcastes were also there. Then position of women. Then women lost their privileges of Swayamvara, that means choice of choosing their husband. And then widow remarriage was not permitted, especially among the higher castes. The practice of dowry and sati became prevalent. Okay, that was position of women at that point of time. Then we can say burial of the dead. Dead were disposed either by cremation, water burial, or exposure in the woods. Exposure in the woods. Trade and commerce declined, that also in that point of time. Then art and culture during Harshavardhana's reign. Right, art and culture. See, architecture, it was based on almost Gupta style primarily. So important thing was Huansang mentioned about 8 feet tall copper Buddha statue. Okay, 8 feet tall copper Buddha statue, which is mentioned by Huansang in his writings, and he also talk of multi-story monastery at Nalanda. Okay, multi-story monastery at Nalanda mentioned by Huansang. Then Chhattisgarh at Sirpur, a brick temple of Lakshman. That is also the art and culture. Okay, at Chhattisgarh, at Sirpur, there is a brick temple of Lakshman is there. Okay, that is art and culture at the Harshavardhana's reign. Next is learning. See, if you consider learning, Harsha was a great patron of learning. Right, himself he authored 3 plays. For 3 dramas, it was Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, then Nagananda. These were the 3 plays authored by Harsha. He also patronized Nalanda University. Okay, he also patronized Nalanda University. Harsha's biographer was Banabhatta, who wrote Harshacharita and Kadambari. Okay, Banabhatta was Harsha's biographer who wrote Harshacharita and Kadambari. Then religion during Harsha's reign. See, Harshavardhan was a Shaiva follower, but over a period of time or gradually he embraced Buddhism. Okay, so as a Shaiva follower or Shiva follower, he gradually embraced Buddhism. See, it is said that Huansang converted him to Mahayana Buddhism, and Harsha prohibited animal slaughter for food in his kingdom. He conducted a gathering of representatives of religions once in every 5 years. and two of them are very important. Okay, once in every 5 years, every religious representative would be gathering in his country. So two of them are very important. So we will discuss what are they. First is Kanauj Assembly. Okay, so who presided over Kanauj Assembly? It was presided over by Huan Sang. Okay, there were 20 kings, nearly 1,000 scholars of Nalanda University, 3,000 Brahmins and Jains attended this assembly at Kanauj. Okay, that's what Kanauj assembly. That indeed continued till 23 days. Here, Huan Sang explained and established superiority of values of Mahayana doctrine over others. However, but what happened was violence broke out and assassination attempt was made on Harsha's life. Okay, there was an assassination attempt on Harsha's life during Kannauj assembly. Then Allahabad assembly, or otherwise it is called Prayag assembly. Okay, it was held for 75 days where quinquennial distribution by the king to the people happened. Okay, then Huan Sang was invited by Harshavardhana to withdraw this six distribution of arms and gifts. Okay, Moksha Parishad at Prayag. Okay, that means he gave up all his treasure and all this in favor of the people. That happened in Allahabad assembly. Huan Sang writes that Harsha actually gave away everything in royal treasury. Okay, that happened in Allahabad assembly. Okay,